Ladies and gentlemen, your future is watching you right now. Not tomorrow, not next year. Right now, in this exact moment, your future is sitting there, quietly observing every decision you make, every excuse you accept, every risk you avoid, and every action you take. The scary part, it's taking notes. Some of you are waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions. Let me tell you something, perfection is a fancy word for procrastination. While you wait, someone else is building. While you hesitate, someone else is executing. While you sleep on your potential, someone else is wide awake chasing theirs. Your future doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about your actions. You say you want success, but your habits are negotiating with comfort. You say you want greatness, but your routine is addicted to distraction. You say you want a different life, but you keep repeating the same days. That doesn't work. Dreams don't respond to what you wish for, they respond to what you do. Right now, your future self is either thanking you or begging you to wake up. Every hour you spend scrolling instead of learning, delaying instead of doing, complaining instead of improving, that's a debt. And one day, your future will collect it with interest, but the opposite is also true. Every sacrifice, every extra rep, every late night, every uncomfortable step forward, that's an investment. And compound interest on discipline is how empires are built. Accountability is the foundation of any meaningful success because it shifts the focus from blaming circumstances to owning decisions. It means understanding that your life is a direct reflection of what you repeatedly do, especially when nobody is there to praise you, remind you, or push you. It's easy to perform when there's an audience, when deadlines are enforced, or when consequences are immediate. The real test of character happens in private when you have the option to either move closer to your goals or drift toward comfort. In those quiet moments, excuses sound reasonable, delays feel harmless, and shortcuts seem invisible. But accountability means you refuse to lie to yourself. You recognize that small actions, even unnoticed ones, are shaping your identity and your future outcomes. When you embrace accountability, you stop waiting for rescue, luck, or perfect conditions. You stop saying, "I'll start when," and start saying, "I will start now." It forces you to confront habits that waste your potential and replace them with behaviors that build discipline. This is not about harsh self-criticism, it's about radical honesty. If something isn't working, you admit it. If you made a mistake, you own it. If you're behind, you accept it and then you adjust. That ownership is empowering because it puts control back into your hands. You may not control every opportunity, but you control preparation. You may not control timing, but you control effort. True accountability also eliminates the gap between who you say you want to be and how you actually behave. Many people declare big goals, but their daily actions vote against those goals. Accountability aligns words with behavior. It transforms intention into execution. Over time, this builds trust with yourself, and self-trust is powerful because once you know you will do what you say, confidence stops being an illusion and becomes evidence-based. Most importantly, accountability compounds. One disciplined choice makes the next one easier. One honest evaluation prevents months of denial. One day of focused effort can spark a chain reaction of progress. People often search for dramatic breakthroughs, but accountability reveals that transformation is usually quiet, gradual, and self-directed. It is built in ordinary days, in repeated commitments, in doing the work long after the excitement fades. Urgency is the awareness that time is moving forward regardless of your readiness, your plans, or your fears. It is the realization that every day you delay is a day that will never return, a piece of your life permanently spent. Many people live as if they have unlimited chances, as if someday they will magically feel prepared enough to begin. But urgency destroys that illusion. It forces you to see that the cost of waiting is far greater than the discomfort of starting imperfectly. Opportunities don't always disappear dramatically, sometimes they quietly expire while you are hesitating. When you operate with urgency, you stop treating your goals like optional tasks and start treating them like responsibilities. You no longer say "I'll do it later" because you understand that later is uncertain. Urgency does not mean panic or reckless action, it means intentional speed. It means prioritizing what truly matters and eliminating distractions that consume your energy without moving you forward. Instead of drifting through days on autopilot, you become deliberate about how you spend your hours, because you recognize that your schedule is a mirror of your priorities. Urgency also sharpens focus. When you know time is limited, trivial concerns lose their power. You waste less energy on comparison, approval, and perfectionism. You become willing to take risks because standing still starts to feel more dangerous than failing. This mindset transforms fear into fuel. The fear of regret becomes stronger than the fear of trying, and that shift is what pushes people to act despite uncertainty. Another important aspect of urgency is momentum. Action creates clarity. The longer you wait, the heavier the first step feels, but once you move, resistance decreases. Urgency helps you break the cycle of overthinking by replacing endless planning with execution. You learn faster by doing than by imagining, and progress begins to replace doubt. Over time, this builds confidence because you see tangible results instead of hypothetical possibilities. Living with urgency also deepens appreciation for the present. You become more engaged in your work, your relationships, and your personal growth because you are no longer assuming you can always make up for lost time. You start having important conversations now, learning skills now, building health now, rather than postponing life for a future that isn't guaranteed. Urgency is not about rushing through life, but about refusing to sleepwalk through it. It is the discipline of acting today in a way that your future self will thank you for, recognizing that the clock is not your enemy, but your most honest teacher. Discipline over motivation means understanding that feelings are unreliable, but systems are dependable. Motivation is emotional and temporary. It rises when you feel inspired and disappears when things become difficult, repetitive, or inconvenient. If you rely on motivation alone, your progress will always be inconsistent because it depends on your mood. Discipline, on the other hand, is a decision. It is the commitment to take action regardless of how you feel in the moment. It turns productive behavior into a standard instead of a choice you debate every day. When you prioritize discipline, you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't wake up asking whether you feel like working toward your goals. You simply follow the routine you have already decided on. This reduces mental friction and saves energy that would otherwise be wasted on internal arguments. Over time, disciplined actions become habits, and habits reduce the need for constant willpower. What once felt difficult becomes automatic, creating stability in your performance even during stressful or uninspiring periods. Discipline also builds resilience. Motivation tends to disappear exactly when you need it most during setbacks, boredom, or slow progress. Discipline carries you through those phases because it is rooted in purpose rather than emotion. It allows you to continue planting seeds when there is no visible reward yet. This is crucial because meaningful achievements often require long stretches of effort without immediate results. People who depend on excitement quit when progress slows, but disciplined individuals understand that consistency is what eventually produces breakthroughs. Another powerful effect of discipline is self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce the belief that you are reliable and capable. This internal trust strengthens confidence far more than external praise ever could. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, and that identity influences future behavior. Conversely, repeatedly breaking commitments to yourself weakens confidence and makes goals feel less attainable. Discipline does not mean harshness or rigidity, it means structure with intention. It involves designing an environment that supports your goals, setting clear boundaries around distractions, and creating routines that make the right actions easier to perform. It also includes the ability to rest strategically, because sustainable discipline requires balance, not burnout. Over time, discipline compounds. Small daily efforts accumulate into significant progress that seems almost surprising in hindsight. What looks like overnight success is usually the result of quiet, consistent work done long after the initial excitement faded. By choosing discipline over motivation, you shift from chasing temporary bursts of energy to building a dependable engine for growth that keeps moving forward regardless of circumstances. Self-awareness is the ability to see yourself clearly, your strengths, your weaknesses, your patterns, and the stories you tell yourself to justify them. It requires honesty that goes beyond surface-level reflection. Many people either underestimate themselves out of fear or overestimate themselves out of ego, but self-awareness lies in the middle, grounded in reality. It means knowing what you are naturally good at so you can use it fully, while also recognizing the areas where you need growth, support, or discipline. Without this clarity, you risk chasing goals that don't align with who you are or repeating behaviors that quietly sabotage your progress. A self-aware person pays attention to triggers and habits. They notice what distracts them, what drains their energy, and what environments bring out their best performance. Instead of blaming external factors for every setback, they ask deeper questions. Was I prepared? Did I avoid discomfort? Did I ignore feedback? This mindset turns mistakes into information rather than evidence of failure. Each experience becomes a mirror reflecting something useful about how you think, react, and decide. Self-awareness also exposes excuses. Humans are skilled at rationalizing inaction, saying there isn't enough time, resources, or support, when the real barrier might be fear of judgment or fear of failure. When you become aware of these hidden motives, excuses lose their power. You can confront the real issue instead of fighting a distraction. This is uncomfortable because it removes the protective layer of denial, but it is also liberating because it shows you exactly what needs to change. Understanding your strengths is equally important. Too often, people focus only on fixing weaknesses and overlook the unique abilities that could accelerate their success. Self-awareness allows you to lean into what you do exceptionally well, building confidence and momentum. It helps you make smarter decisions about where to invest your time, which opportunities to pursue, and which ones to decline. Not every path is meant for you, and recognizing that prevents wasted effort. Another dimension of self-awareness is emotional intelligence, recognizing how your feelings influence your actions. When you can identify frustration, envy, fear, or overconfidence as they arise, you gain the ability to pause instead of reacting impulsively. This pause creates space for better choices. You stop being controlled by temporary emotions and start acting according to long-term intentions. Developing self-awareness is an ongoing process. It grows through reflection, feedback, and the willingness to question your assumptions. It asks you to listen more, observe more, and defend yourself less. Over time, it becomes a compass that keeps you aligned with your goals and values, preventing you from drifting into patterns that feel comfortable but lead nowhere. A legacy mindset is the ability to think beyond immediate comfort and short-term rewards, focusing instead on the long-term impact of your actions. It means asking not just what do I want now, but what will this choice mean years from today? People who operate this way are guided by purpose rather than impulse. They are willing to sacrifice temporary pleasure, recognition, or ease because they are building something that will outlast the moment. This perspective transforms how you approach work, relationships, personal growth, and even challenges, because everything becomes part of a larger story you are writing over time. When you adopt a legacy mindset, patience becomes a strength instead of a burden. You understand that meaningful results often require sustained effort with little immediate payoff. Instead of chasing quick wins, you focus on consistent progress that compounds. You invest in skills that may take years to master, habits that gradually reshape your character, and relationships that deepen through reliability and trust. This long view reduces anxiety about instant success because you measure yourself by direction rather than speed. A legacy mindset also influences decision-making. You become more selective about where you spend your energy, knowing that distractions can quietly steal years of potential. You start to evaluate opportunities based on alignment with your values and long-term goals, not just convenience or popularity. This clarity protects you from drifting into paths that feel exciting in the moment but lead away from what truly matters to you. It encourages responsibility because you realize that your actions set examples for others, whether in your family, community, or professional environment. Another important aspect is resilience. When setbacks occur, people focused only on the present may feel defeated, but those thinking long-term see obstacles as temporary chapters rather than final endings. They are more willing to learn, adapt, and continue because they are committed to the bigger picture. Failures become lessons that strengthen the foundation of future success instead of reasons to quit. A legacy mindset also deepens fulfillment. Achievements tied only to personal gain often feel empty once the excitement fades. But building something meaningful, whether it is a body of work, a positive influence on others, or a life lived with integrity, creates lasting satisfaction. You begin to care less about applause and more about impact. Your motivation shifts from proving something to others to honoring the potential you have been given. Living this way requires discipline and vision because the world constantly pushes short-term gratification. It asks you to delay rewards, stay committed when progress is slow, and remain faithful to your principles even when easier options are available. Over time, however, this approach shapes a life that carries weight and meaning, defined not by fleeting moments of success, but by the enduring difference you leave behind. Your future is not something that will happen to you. It is something you are building right now through your choices, habits, and standards. When you take accountability, act with urgency, rely on discipline, understand yourself, and think long term, you stop drifting and start directing your life with intention. The power to change your story has always been in your hands, and the moment you decide to use it, everything begins to shift. Your future is watching, waiting for proof that you are ready to become the person you are meant to be. Thank you.